"You can't sit here forever in the rain. Come with me." The single dad's voice cut through the downpour as he knelt in front of the girl in the wheelchair. Her eyes stayed on the ground. Her hair was soaked, dress clinging to her frame, and the rain masked the tears streaming down her cheeks. She muttered that she didn't need his pity and begged him to just go. But he didn't move. Lightning cracked across the sky, and in that moment he wasn't looking at a stranger. He was looking at someone broken in the exact way he once was. The night had been long already. He had just finished a late shift and was on his way to pick up his little boy. Yet here, at the lonely bus stop, fate put this girl in his path. Her backpack was torn, the wheelchair old, and the way she clutched her knees screamed of someone who'd been abandoned too many times. He spoke again, softer but firmer now, saying he wasn't there to pity her, but because he knew what it felt like when the world decided you weren't worth helping. He told her he had been there. She finally looked at him, her eyes sharp, full of pain and disbelief. And just like that, the story began. 3 years ago, he had stood in a hospital hallway gripping divorce papers, his newborn son asleep in his arms. His wife had walked away, choosing freedom over responsibility. He had been called a fool, told he wouldn't survive raising a baby alone. The neighbors whispered, co-workers mocked, yet he fought tooth and nail to give his son a life of dignity. That humiliation, that rejection, it had burned into him the value of kindness. Because he knew the weight of silence when no hand reached out. Now, looking at the girl in the wheelchair, he saw that same silence wrapped around her. Her voice dropped lower, trembling. She confessed that her parents stopped waiting for her months ago. Friends stopped calling. People looked at her like she was broken merchandise. Nobody wanted her around. Her words pierced him. The storm seemed to grow louder, thunder echoing her confession. He answered without hesitation, telling her then, let him be the fool who did want her around. She shook her head violently, tears mixing with rain, asking why he would ever do that when he didn't even know her. His jaw tightened as he explained that someone once believed in him when they didn't have to, and it had saved him. The girl stared at him, unsure if this was another empty promise. But then a little voice called out from the car parked across the street. "Daddy, are we going home?" The girl's eyes widened as she saw a small boy waving through the window, grinning despite the rain. Her lips parted in shock. He nodded and told her that yes, he was a dad, the best title he had ever held, and maybe tonight she needed a family more than she needed another stranger walking away. Her face crumpled. For the first time all night, she let the truth fall from her lips. The accident had stolen her legs, but not just that, it had stolen her will to be seen. Once the star of her college dance team, she had been celebrated, adored. After the crash, people didn't even recognize her. Invitations vanished. Dreams turned to ashes. Her parents, exhausted and ashamed, had pushed her into a facility. Weeks ago she had run away, convinced she'd rather die in the streets than rot unseen. And tonight the rain felt like the world's final rejection. But he didn't flinch at her story. He reached out, steady and sure, telling her she may not dance anymore the way she used to, but she could still move hearts. He reminded her that his son didn't need perfect legs to look up to someone, he needed someone strong enough to keep living even when life said they shouldn't. Her chest rose and fell. She wanted to believe him. But disbelief had been her armor for too long. Then came the turning point. The boy in the car suddenly opened the door and ran through the rain. He tugged on her sleeve with small hands, looking up with innocence brighter than the streetlights. He asked if she wanted to come home with them because Daddy made hot chocolate. Her lips trembled. No grand speeches could ever equal the purity of that little voice. She looked at the boy, then at his father. And for the first time in months, she nodded. That night, in a modest home, wrapped in borrowed blankets, she sipped cocoa and listened to the laughter of a child who didn't care about wheelchairs. For once, she wasn't invisible. Weeks later, neighbors began to see her rolling beside the dad and his boy, her laughter louder, her shoulders straighter. The town that once ignored her now whispered again. But this time it was in awe. The girl who thought her life ended at a bus stop in the rain had found a new beginning in the most unexpected place, the kindness of a single father who refused to walk away. The moral? Sometimes life puts people in your path not by accident, but by design. One act of courage, one choice not to leave someone behind, can turn despair into destiny. So when you see someone drowning in silence, be the hand that reaches out. You may just rewrite the story they thought was over. And in the end, respect always belongs to those who choose compassion over convenience. Before we end this story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear. If this story touched you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know how you feel in the comment.